Welcome to Level Up with Winnie Sun.
Well, hello, and thank you so much for tuning in today. Welcome back, my friends. Happy Thursday. I hope you're having a nice week. Let me know where you're joining me from. A quick hello. I see Joshua joining from YouTube. Well, so many people joining us today. Thank you so much, and welcome to the show. If you're joining us on a replay, also, quick hello. Thank you so much for tuning in, and please include in the comments the word replay so I'll catch your view. I know a lot of you joined me there, and I really appreciate it. I also want to welcome my friends at Modern Mom, as we are also now streaming to you so that you too can stay on top of relevant business and financial news each and every day. Let's start with how the market closed today. Unfortunately, not the best of days. This is just one of those days where can we just fast forward to tomorrow? Because the Dow closed down 559 points, NASDAQ down 478 points. Not a good thing. And the S&P down 96 as well. Yikes, yikes, yikes. Today, the U.S. stock market drops dramatically earlier today and as it closed because investors continue to be very nervous of the increase in bond yields. So many investors sold off many of the high-flying popular names, maybe some of the ones that you currently own, especially in the technology sector. The 10-year Treasury yield rose by about 0.2% today, above 1.6%, which was seen as sudden and alarming. Later, the yield came back down to about 1.5%, which is still the highest level since February of last year. NASDAQ shedded 3.5%, setting, unfortunately, a new record. We don't like these records. Worst sell-off since October, shares my friends at CNBC. Now, investors continue to be concerned about inflation for obvious reasons. It's not just bond yields, which have also been moving because oil has also been increasing in price. If you haven't noticed, I don't know. I haven't noticed really because those of you know I drive an electric car, but it's approaching the highest level since 2008. As well as copper reaching an almost 10-year high. So lots of things happening. However, we also can't forget that Fed Chairman Jerome Powell indicated just earlier this week, you were with me earlier this week, in meetings in both the House and the Senate, that although inflation was something that he was mindful of, he felt that it wasn't at a level yet that he deemed concerning. He also added that the central bank had tools and strategies in place in case that change in inflation cooling was and became necessary. So on other news today, that this is something that we're going to have some fun talking about today, but Twitter today also announced a number of new changes. I'm big time on Twitter. So lots of things happening. I'm going to talk to you more about that tomorrow because today I have a very, very special guest. So Jeremiah, welcome to the show. How are you, Jeremiah?
I am great. Thank you for having me. So delighted to be here.
Well, it is a treat to have you here. I consider you a friend. Just for those of you who are tuning in with us, many of you are probably wondering if Jeremiah actually is using a virtual background, but he's not. And I would love, actually, let's start with that. Jeremiah, you want to talk a little about where you are? Because
yeah, sure.
It's always like
I suppose the only way I could prove it is to put something in the background. So I am in my tiny Airstream studios in my backyard in Silicon Valley. It is a business expense. I got it a few years ago and I've turned it into my office, and it worked really well, especially during the quarantine. So hi there from the Airstream.
I love that. So for those of you who maybe, are feeling like you can't work at home, maybe the kids are getting into your stuff, maybe an idea to put an Airstream in the backyard. I just got like that total cool factor, but I'm not really surprised. I just feel like Jeremiah is definitely, when you think about Jeremiah, you're going to see, when you get to know him right now, you're going to think he's very, very cool. Alina is loving this idea, right? You're interested. I know. We almost need a whole show just about these unique family offices. So let's say Jeremiah, for those of you who aren't familiar with him, probably not many of you, he focuses on how new technologies impact business models and how corporations must innovate. I'm going to tell you, the guy can research and write like no tomorrow. He focuses on disruptive technologies such as social media, collaborative economy, the auto world and autonomous world, I should say, and so much more, and how they can impact the relevance to corporations and corporates. He is well recognized by both the tech industry and the media for his grounded approach to deriving insights through rigorous research. And that's not an overstatement. Let me just say, if you've actually had a chance to read some of Jeremiah's shares, and you can actually follow him on Twitter, he shares a lot of information there. They are very, very well researched and very thorough. So he's frequently quoted in top tier publications, cited in books, press, and media, a frequent speaker. He's delivered a TED Talk, and he's been featured as a who's who in the Silicon Valley Business Journal, and his Twitter feed was named one of the top feeds by Time. So he is founder of Crowd Companies Innovation Club for Fortune 500 companies, and we have him here. So Alina Law is really enjoying this. She says that you are speaking her language. She's really enjoying this. Jeremiah, you're a very busy man. How's life for you these days?
It's been a challenge, but one of the trends that we've seen is through quarantine, people are adopting new technologies, and that's really what I've been tracking, Winnie.
And that's what you do. And this is one of the reasons one of the many reasons, Jeremiah, that we're having you here today. So I wanted to start with a quote. Those of you who are joining the show, you know how we love to do this, right? Joshua, thank you so much. So kind of you. I'm glad you approve of my blue today. Blue flowers for the week. We thought this would be fun. So here's a quote I'd like to share with you this week. And that is, we must all learn not only to not fear change, but to embrace it enthusiastically, and perhaps even more important, encourage and drive it. It just seems right in theme with Jeremiah and his focuses. So let me ask you this. For those of you who are joining us, I would love for you to take a guess on who said this quote. And then let's give you a second, and then we're going to come to Jeremiah and see if he knows who said this quote. What do you think, Jeremiah? Do you have an idea? Kim Kardashian, Melinda Gates, Steve Jobs, Richard Branson, Tony Hsieh, Arianna Huffington?
I think
Some of
it's
the friends
six.
are on here.
I think it's number 6, Arianna Huffington.
You think it's Arianna Huffington?
I do. Because she's an innovator and she leans forward, and really about the enthusiastic part. That just strikes me as something that she would say is such an innovator and somebody who I respect. But it
Yes.
could be almost any of them, frankly.
It could be. And so we see someone from LinkedIn guessing that it's Richard Branson. CrossX Fighter is saying Arianna Huffington. I've had a chance to work with and collaborate with Arianna Huffington. I absolutely agree. She's really amazing.
Dynamite.
She's dynamo. She's sweet. She's smart. She's so brilliant. All right. Alina Law is guessing someone I've known, Tony Hsieh, who ex-CEO of Zappos. And you are actually right. This is a tribute to Tony. This is Tony Hsieh's quote, among many, many inspiring quotes from Tony. So I don't really know this question. That's okay, Joshua. You don't need to always know this question. We're just glad to have you here. But yes, this is something it seems like the theme of you, Jeremiah, of really pushing forward, embracing new technology, embracing change. So let's start with this. I love if you could start with and telling us what is it that you do for those who may not be familiar with your work.
Sure, I'm a technology analyst. I've been doing this for over a decade. I was hired and trained at one of the tech analyst firms in the world, Forrester Research, and I've started around 3 firms over the last decade. And really what I do is I look for the new technologies, Winnie, and I try to translate and predict how they're going to impact business, the markets, the economy, and even society. And so when I was 28 years old, which was a while ago, I figured out what my career mission is, and it's to help companies connect to their customers using new technologies. And I've been in Silicon Valley for over 20 years doing that exact same career mission. So I love doing that.
Well, it seems like a passion of yours, and I know you've worked with a number of companies. I would love to learn more about, you've actually shared a beautiful article with me. We're definitely making sure that this is shared and everybody gets a chance to see it. If you haven't yet, you definitely want to follow Jeremiah on Twitter. It's actually his posted or pinned tweet.
It's my pinned tweet for sure.
Yeah, so you can take a look at it. it's great stuff here. We'll take a look at it right now so you can see the future of social audio. And so what I would love for us to do is have a deep dive on this conversation.
Yes.
Here on the show, we've actually talked about Clubhouse just recently, but what have been the biggest changes that have come to you due to the pandemic? And maybe we can sort of segue over to social audio as well.
Yeah, well, I suspect I'm not different than anybody else, that during the quarantine, that was a big change not to see other people or to hug people or fist bump people. And really, many of us were yearning to connect with other people. But one thing that we found is that text messaging or text social networks really were not enough to show the emotion or hear the nuances in my voice. And like you and I can have this real conversation and connect as humans. But at the same time, we've also noticed that people were suffering from Zoom fatigue. 8 hours of meetings a day, looking into a camera, into a camera where your colleague is supposed to be, where they don't have a professional looking set like you have that beautiful set, and I've adorned my backyard office, and you don't feel good inside. You just don't want to be seen on camera. So people feel this fatigue from video. So as a result, we found something in the middle, and we call this the Goldilocks Medium. The Goldilocks Medium is this new category of tech called social audio. The leader in the space is Clubhouse, but now there's also Twitter Spaces. Facebook has announced their version. Mark Cuban, if you keep on scrolling down, you'll see a list. There's over 30 companies in this market, and they keep on filling up my inbox. I forecast by the end of this year, there will be 100 companies in this category. Winnie, some of these companies are segmenting out by specific industry, vertical, or geography. There's one, for example, that is called, oh God, I can't remember the names. There's so many of them. There's one that's for Switzerland. There's one for Black Americans called 7th Avenue. There's one for the sports industry called Locker Room. Sonar is aimed at number 6 is for Generation Z, for youth. The one's Fireside Chat by Mark Cuban is going to be like a podcasting one. So we're just seeing so many variations emerge in this space. And these companies are becoming well funded. In particular, Clubhouse has received over $110 to $120 million, which frankly, by the way, in the scheme of the tech space isn't a lot, but for an early stage company pre-A is a lot. And their valuation is $1 billion, even though they were only around 9 months old and just a few million users. So it's really showing the promise for that. Since then, Twitter has stepped up with their beta program, and they're putting lots of might in development to launch their version as well. So I can see how the billion-dollar tech giants are moving into this space quickly. Now, the last bit on this market overview, and we can talk about the predictions as well, is I'm expecting to see some acquisitions. Companies like Spotify should acquire some of these companies and fold them in. Disney Plus could fold in examples of like this and have constant real-time shows with their actors behind the scenes or after a show. So I can see how this will fold into the traditional media empires as well.
Right. And you call this the Goldilocks Medium. I really enjoyed that term. I think it makes sense. When I was first introduced to Clubhouse, someone said, it's like combining podcasting with Twitter in one. And I said, well, I have a podcast. I love Twitter. So I'm definitely going to check this out. And it's really interesting because you can jump in. I mean, people are literally on 24/7. Like if you have this app, I'm just going to warn you, if you have this app and it sets up alerts literally all day long, people are on. Jeremiah's on a lot, a lot. But you see who's in, who's talking, and it's just not like small people. I mean, we're talking celebrities, we're talking about influencers, right?
Bill Gates
we have people like
last night.
Bill Gates, Brad Pitt's been on there. I mean, there's just like everybody that has started to dabble more into this. I do think there's still a lot of limitations in it. I think, it's great that you can have these conversations, but I do wish it had some like direct messaging options in there and whatnot to be able to share physical content. But the concept is really good. And what Jeremiah had mentioned earlier, it's great because it sort of gets you closer to your audience without having to, like you said, like share your cell phone number, right? But you can be there to really have that engagement that you might be missing by just posting. It gives it that intimacy of being able to hear voices. So let's talk about that a little bit, Jeremiah. Social audio influencers, right? One thing I read that you wrote that top social audio influencer will be a bot. Talk about that if you can.
It's true. Just as we already speak to Alexa and Siri, and we're training those entities, we'll see them emerge as full-on personas and characters and icons within these apps. We've already seen one emerge called Kuki, Kuki, which is an artificial bot that uses natural language processing and does really rapid Google searches and delivers that information in a somewhat natural human artificial voice. So we're already seeing instances of that occurring. And I don't think in 5 years we'll even bat an eye. It's like, I'm going to talk to Siri in this room. That'll become a normal thing because we already do that at home. So that is one prediction that I have, that the bots will be in our conversations.
That will be really interesting. And while you're saying this, Jeremiah, I am thinking right now that in the future, basically, there'll be an image of you like this, and there'll be an image like me, and then I'll be on the phone. I'll be talking to, let's say, you on the phone, and it won't really be me moving around, but it'll be my voice, and you'll see me moving around, and that would probably solve a lot of Zoom fatigue for a lot of people who are dealing with that now. It's just one of the first steps, right?
Yeah, there are some apps on that list that are doing things like that. For example, Stereo, I listed on there, has some of those features where there's a artificial cartoon face that replicates your face movements as you speak, really trying to ease the effort of showing a physical face, but it's not really you.
Yeah, that does make sense. I mean, think about the embracing of emojis is really just taking that to the next level, right? We've already seen that.
Exactly
It's already right. The technology is already on our iPhones. It gives us that little bit of feeling of human reactions, but be able to do so via technology. It's really cool. There's already virtual suits, as Alina says. I love that. We'll have to see. You have to share your virtual suits with us, Alina. I love that. All right. So what are some of the best ways that you think that companies should be using social audio?
Yes, and my firm is working on a paper right now, Jamie and Jessica, my business partners, and we're going to break that down by business goals. An organization can listen and learn from the market what's being said. There's quite a few business folks in those discussions. In fact, they're talking about startups and the markets and geographies. Like if you want to listen into real-time business conversations and markets around the world, Clubhouse is a great way to do that. In fact, many investors make deals happening right in there. The VCs are known to be in there finding startups. The second thing to do is you could influence the market by engaging in dialogue with companies that you work with or your own company, or even enabling them and encouraging the folks in there to spread the word for you. We may see companies launch customer care programs where they can see customers answering questions to support agents, just like the phone systems. I think those could go awry. There's some risk with that. And then also we might see companies creating versions of this just for their workplace, replicating this for employees, a secure version. And there's a few of those startups on my list. We call that enterprise social audio. That in itself will be a billion-dollar market category as well.
Fascinating. I'm guessing, Jeremiah, you're quite a popular person. I think many people probably want to hang out and just ask, what next, Jeremiah? What things should we be paying attention to? Because as we know, this is something that you study each and every day. So let me ask you this. So what do you think is the next big industry position just perfectly for disruption? If you were to pick one, I know that's going to be hard because you follow so many things, but
gosh, every physical industry is being upended. What's the general trend is that technology is creating like this empowering way for individuals to get what they want from each other. So retail is being upended right now. I would say the one that's going to change the most right now is going to be healthcare. And that's another area of my research is called tech wellness or modern well-being. And especially now, people are realizing they can do telemedicine from home, and they're turning on apps to measure their body, and there's rings, and there's all kinds of things they can put on, even brain scans, tracking their sleep, even tracking their poop. Yes, poop tech is a thing. And they're going to start to rely, oh boy, yes, it's true. So they're going to start to rely on these technologies to help them make recommendations on their fitness, diet, sleep, well-being, mental state, physical state, and how to live longer. And we might, in this radical future, in 10 years from now, we might even see these tech companies able to predict and help us improve our lifespans. And these tech companies may even know how long we might live and what we can do to extend our life and even improve the quality of our lives, because they'll have so much data about us and people like us. it's not just the data they'll have around Jeremiah, but other middle-aged Asian Americans around the United States. They could say, well, if the ones that live the longest and healthiest do this, then Jeremiah, you should too. So at that point, we might even see Apple, Google, and Amazon even offering health services or health insurance. So that's what I see happening, is the tech industry is going to upend the medical and health space.
Yeah, absolutely. That's very exciting. And I agree with you. I can't wait to see that happen. I mean, just for example, like I use Apple Fitness Plus, which I absolutely love. That completely eliminated, at least for my family and I, any need to go to the gym again. Like
Wow.
it really, it's that powerful. So much so that my 11-year-old son right now is like just completely obsessed with Apple Fitness. He's getting so healthy. He's like literally watching his movement each and every day. And like, you're right. I think that's very inspiring for me as a parent, but it's also exciting to see how quickly one bit of technology and it's very infant stage. I can only imagine what Apple and other companies will do to this technology, fast forward a few months and a few years. But even in its current infant stage, it's become that powerful where as someone who's used to go to the gym like religiously every week, now I'm like, I don't think I need to go back. And basically what I pay now for entire family for a whole year is less than I used to pay 1 month to go to the gym. It's crazy. So you do that and talk about technology, talk about healthcare, and having to go to medical facilities, as you just indicated before. Like my dad's been in the hospital back and forth, for months. He was just in emergency room last week, and what a miserable experience. Yeah, but if you could take that home, right? If they could stay home
It. Yes.
and digitize and have proper medical care, how incredible that would be. That's somewhere that I'm definitely going to spend more time to research that too. Alina says she uses Apple Fitness too, right, Alina? I love it. I know. Alina, you're going to have to tell me which trainer you love most, because I'm always curious. But Jeremiah, I also know you are a big workout fiend too. You're like, this is you. We want to learn more about Jeremiah.
Sure.
Talk to us.
Yeah, so I love obstacle course racing. Have you heard of Spartan races or Tough Mudders, Winnie?
I think it's just too cool for me, but you need to share with us.
Yeah, sure. So they're like military-inspired events where you run out in the fields and the mountains, and then you go over military obstacles, sometimes with your crew, and climbing ropes, going underneath mud, going over barriers, carrying heavy things under barbed wire, getting electrocuted, shocked, going into ice water.
Oh, fun!
Yeah, it's so fun. I pay money to do it. You got to come with me, Winnie. We'll have a blast.
You lost me at mud.
Yes, mud, bugs, all that. And you know why I love that? I'll tell you. It's the opposite of my desk jockey job, doing tech. It's that primal instinct. It's the thing that many of us are craving, because we have our, sanitized little desks now, and we're not going anywhere. So that is my passion, and to do that in CrossFit and things like that. So I love fitness.
Are you still doing that now with the pandemic? I would think that's pretty safe, right? Because
no, it's not safe, because the liquids could be easily passed from one person to another, and you're touching common items. So I've had to put a hold on all those things. So I work out at home to the best of my ability.
You might have to check out Apple Fitness.
I think you're right. I need your referral code.
I don't think there is one, but there should be one. I'm kidding. Yes. I'm totally kidding. Alina loves having her blood results in digital format. Yeah, I'm with you. I think that having gone through hospital experiences with my family, I'm very excited to see that industry become more technology savvy, even more so than me in the financial space, because I just feel like there's so much need. There's so many people suffering right now because of the pandemic and everything else, and it just breaks my heart. But you know what this is all about, my friends? This is where we have a little fun with Jeremiah. Let's introduce him to the speed round.
Okay.
You only get 1 minute to answer 2 questions, and you better have some good answers for us, because we have high hopes, because it's you. Number 1 question for you is, what's one thing you like to learn and master that is outside of what you already do today? Outside.
Oh boy, I want to learn how to do fly fishing.
Fly fishing.
Yeah, I want to get
Really?
outdoors. I want to try something that I heard is frustrating, and it has to give you patience, and you have to wait. Gosh, that's the opposite of what I'm doing now in the tech world. I think I want to learn how to do fly fishing.
You want to learn how to do fly fishing? That's interesting because, like, I know my husband would say like, "There's no way you have enough patience to do fly fishing," but for me, that's what he would say to me. But yeah, I want to see you do that. I don't even think I have patience right now to do yoga, but this is sounding pretty good. Fly fishing would be pretty cool. Think about the seafood you would catch. I mean, that should be
love
the
that
motivation.
idea. I love that idea.
I love that idea. Okay, second question for you. Post-pandemic, you're back out there speaking, meeting people, doing your genius. Who's one person that you can't wait to have some FaceTime with and why?
Well, I would probably have to guess it's the people who I communicate with every day. My business partners, Jamie and Jessica, we've been segmented away from each other.
So you missed them.
I do. Yeah, they're my buds.
Okay, so let me ask you this. Where are you going to take them? Are you going to take them to eat? You're going to go take them on a trip? What,
Oh,
you going to
we're going
work
to travel.
out?
We're going to go to business conference. We'll go to New York. We've gone to Lausanne, Switzerland. We've gone all over the place. So yeah, we'll go to travel again. I think it's just the desire to be on the road with some of my friends and colleagues.
I agree. My team, I know on my side too, we really miss traveling. And I have a feeling if you go to New York City, you're going to go see our friend Peter there. But very,
Yes,
very
Shankman,
cool.
Yes.
Yeah, Mr. Shakeman. Well, thank you so much, Jeremiah. For people who want to follow you and learn more about all the greatness that you're doing, we're definitely sharing your handle here on the bottom of the screen. But where do you prefer people follow you at?
Yeah, definitely Twitter is like the way to get the frequent updates. That's where to go and find me. And then I link to all the things that matter. And that is my website. So thank you so much.
Absolutely. And so you have here, my friends, our live stream, which streams on 6 different platforms and now plus Modern Mom every day that the financial markets are open. Thank you so much for watching, supporting our program, and sharing today's show, especially with Jeremiah, with those that you love and care about. As a reminder, you can find full episodes of Level Up with Winnie Sun on NASDAQ, Amazon Fire, and Roku. Be well, and I can't wait to see you all again tomorrow. Thank you so much, Jeremiah.